Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, continuing our attention to this major piece of analysis I posted on Tarpley.net. That is, Obama is preparing to bomb Iran. Take a look at it at Tarpley.net. Continuing with the chorus of warmonger voices or others pointing with maybe mixed feelings. Arnaud de Bourchgrave on Newsmax. He says, a former Arab leader told me, off the record, told de Bourchgrave on July 6th, all the Middle Eastern and Gulf leaders now want Iran taken out of the nuclear arms business, and they all know sanctions won't work. This is, again, the Sunni Arabs against the Shiite Iranians, Persians. They all want Iran taken out of the nuclear arms business, and they all know that sanctions won't work. What will Obama do? Well, he's got a war in Afghanistan that's bound to get worse. So why not have a flight forward? The bombing of Iran may give Obama a three-front war and a chance to retain both houses of Congress. Admiral Mike Mullen of the Joint Chiefs of Staff may be dragging his heels, but the pressure is on Obama to do something. And naturally, we've got to stress here, this is the classic situation where the Gulf of Tonkin action, staged provocation, and or a false flag terrorist operation attributed to Iran becomes likely. Let's go back to Zbigniew Brzezinski and his testimony at the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, February 1st, 2007. Here's what Brzezinski said then, quote, if the United States continues to be bogged down in a protracted bloody involvement in Iraq, the final destination of this downhill track is likely to be a head-on conflict with Iran and with much of the world of Islam at large. Now, pay attention to this part. A plausible scenario, says Brzezinski, a plausible scenario for a military collision with Iran involves Iraqi failure to meet the benchmarks, followed by accusations of Iranian responsibility for that failure, and then by some provocation in Iraq or a terrorist act in the United States blamed on Iran, culminating in a, quote, defensive, unquote, U.S. military action against Iran that plunges a lonely America into a spreading and deepening quagmire, eventually ranging across Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Today, you better add to that list, Zbigniew, the Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and maybe into Central Asia. This is a very large chunk of the world to be at war with and in, against and within, especially for a bankrupt power with an overstretched army where the suicide rate in the U.S. Army is reaching crisis proportions. So we've seen the war warnings, the calls for war. Again, look at Time Magazine, look at de Bourchgrave on Newsmax, look at Fidel Castro, look at Joe Klein, Time Magazine, Weekly Standard, and so forth. The neocons are promising a cakewalk, and we'll be back to that in just a minute. Michael Barone's idea is that this is the Examiner newspapers in San Francisco and Washington. Barone suggests that Obama could be the new hypocrite professor, cynical hypocrite professor Woodrow Wilson. Remember Woodrow Wilson, 1916, vote for Wilson, he kept us out of war, and he will. And as soon as he gets in, within 1 month, 6 weeks, declaration of war against Germany. That's Obama. Treachery. We've also got acts of war in Iran being committed by the United States. A big attack by Jundullah in Baluchistan, in the Iranian side of Baluchistan, kills 21, including top leaders of the Pastaran Iranian Revolutionary Guard. This is retaliation for the death of this Rigi, who was captured by Iran with Pakistani help. Everybody knows, even Brian Ross of ABC News, years ago, in 2007, has told us, Jundullah is a subsidiary of U.S. and British intelligence, and that's what the Iranians say. Ali Larijani of the Majlis, the parliament in Tehran, says the United States is behind Jundullah. Iran has ample evidence that the Jundullah terrorist group has links to the United States. They enjoy U.S. support. They're claiming responsibility. So Larijani says you can get away with this on other issues, but not on terrorism inside Iran. Now, let me also point out, on July 12th, President Medvedev of Russia has made a significant statement on this, saying Iran is about to acquire the capability to manufacture nuclear weapons, July 12th, but don't have a simplistic approach. On June 20th, Medvedev said that on his trip to the United States, he'd been shown secret U.S. intelligence that Iran has enough enriched uranium for the construction of 2 nuclear bombs, and he doesn't like that. You can go through other things coming from Moscow on this. The Iranians, of course, shot back that this is now the foreign minister, Motaki of Iran, says to Medvedev, your remarks are at odds with reality. But and then of course Medvedev reasserts what he said. So there's some growing friction there. One of the points of friction, the Iranians have been expecting the delivery of these Russian S-300 surface-to-air missiles, very effective. Will that be blocked? There are conflicting statements coming from Moscow about those critical surface-to-air missiles. If they are delivered, the price tag in terms of attrition to aircraft for U.S. or Israel or anybody attacking Iran goes way up very fast. Tremendous U.S. pressure on Russia not to deliver those. What will they do? If they don't, that pressure will increase. Now remember, the remains of the Brzezinski strategy are that the goal of all this in many ways is to try to get Russia locked into a conflict with Iran. And the fact that Russia voted for the economic sanctions in the UN Security Council on June 6th means that there is bad blood. If you don't deliver the surface-to-air missiles, more bad blood. However, on the other side, you've got the Russians continuing to build the Bushehr nuclear reactor, which should come online soon, this summer, within a month or two maybe, or 3. And you've also got the fact that the Russian energy minister, Shmatko, says that Russia will be happy to sell Iran all the refined gasoline and other refined petroleum products that they want. So there, you can see there are two directions. There are the things that Obama wants to hear, and the other things that drive Hillary Clinton bonkers in terms of not towing the line. So there is an uncertainty as a result in this entire policy. Vernochet goes pretty far with that. Vernochet of Voltaire Network says the Russian policy appears to reflect a certain schizophrenia at the highest level of the state, a diverging policy, and he thinks it's Medvedev on the one hand and Putin on the other. That will time will tell on that one. I have to stress one of the big war factors, danger factors, is Petraeus. Petraeus is now the savior of the savior. I deplored this stupid nomination by Obama of Petraeus after this McChrystal affair, looking in retrospect more and more staged, more and more like a provocation. Petraeus is the savior of the savior, 99-0 support in the Senate. Obama needs him. What were the conditions demanded by Petraeus to take that Afghan job? I can't imagine that he gave up his control of the entire Middle East policy just for Afghanistan. I bet he built in the idea that the attack on Iran, which he had been planning at CENTCOM the whole time, will still be run by him. Now, critical in this, the National Intelligence Estimate, the NIE, remember the last one in December 2007, says the Iranians have no nuclear weapons. We're now told a new NIE is in the works, and it'll say, guess what? The Iranians are back. They have a nuclear weapons program. We'll be back with you in a minute.